Theme 4: Thinkers, Believers, and Buildings. Cultural developments 600 BCE to 600 CE. The discovery of Sanchi has vastly transformed our understanding of early Buddhism. Shah Jahan Begum, her successor, Shah Jahan's Begum successor was Sultan Jahan Begum. John Marshall was contemporary of Sultan Jahan Begum. Both were females, Shah Jahan Begum as well as Sultan Jahan Begum. The background, sacrifices, and debates. The mid-first millennium BC is often regarded as a turning point in the world history. It saw emergence of thinkers such as Zarathustra in Iran, Kongzi in China, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle in Greece, and Mahavira and Gautam Buddha in India. They try to understand the mysteries of existence and relationship between humans and the cosmic order. 2a. The sacrificial tradition. Rig Veda from 1500 to 1000 BCE. Rig Veda consists of hymns in praise of a variety of deities, especially Agni, Indra, and Soma. Agni, Indra, and Soma. At first, sacrifices were performed collectively. Later, from 1000 BCE to 500 BCE, some were performed by heads of the household for the well-being of the domestic unit. Elaborate sacrifices like Rajasuya and Ashwamedha were performed by chiefs and kings who depended on the Brahmana priest to conduct the ritual. 2b. New questions. Many ideas found in the Upanishads, 6th century BCE onwards, show that people were curious about the meaning of the life, the possibility of the life after death and rebirth. Outside Vedic traditions asked whether or not there even a single ultimate reality. People also speculating about sacrificial traditions. 2c. Debates and discussions. Buddhist texts mention as many as 64 sects or schools of thought. Debates between teachers took place in Kutagarashala, Kutagarashala, Kutagarashala. Debates between teachers took place in Kutagarashala, literally a hut with a pointed roof, or in the groves where traveling mendicants halted. Mahavira and Buddha questioned the authority of the Vedas. They also emphasized individual agency, suggesting that men and women could strive to attain liberation from the trials and tribulations of worldly existence. This is in contrast to Brahmanical position wherein an individual's existence was thought to be determined by his/her birth in a specific caste or gender. Next point. Chandogya Upanishad, 6th century BC in Sanskrit. Chandogya Upanishad, 6th century BC in Sanskrit. Arrow. Buddha taught orally through discussions and debate. After his death, that is between 5th 4th BCE, his teachings were compiled by his disciples at a council of elders or senior monks at Vaishali. Pali for Vaishali in present-day Bihar. Pali for Vaishali in present-day Bihar. These compilations were known as Tripitaka, literally three baskets: Vinay Pitaka, Sutta Pitaka, and Abhidhamma Pitaka. So, Vinay Pitaka. Rules and regulations for those joining Sangha. Sutta Pitaka included Buddha's teachings, and Abhidhamma Pitaka dealt with philosophical matters. Abhidhamma Pitaka dealt with philosophical matters. Each Pitaka comprises a number of individual texts. Later, commentaries were written on these texts by Buddhist scholars. In Sri Lanka, Deepavamsa, that is, Chronicle of the Island, and Mahavamsa, the Great Chronicle, were written. In Sri Lanka, Deepavamsa and Mahavamsa were written. Deepavamsa means Chronicle of Iceland, and Mahavamsa means the Great Chronicle. Some of the oldest texts are in Pali. Later one are in Sanskrit. Buddhist texts were preserved in manuscripts for several centuries in monasteries in different parts of Asia. Modern translations have been prepared from Pali, Sanskrit, Chinese, and Tibetan texts. Now comes the fatalist and materialist. So in this Sutta Pitaka, Ajatasattu visited Buddha and described what another teacher named Makkali that Makhali Ghosla told him. Makhali Ghosla was a fatalist. So fool and wise alike will take their course and make an end of sorrow. So he quoted that the Makkali said to the Ajasattu that the so fool and wise alike will take their course and make an end of sorrow. And this is what a philosopher named Ajita Kesha Kama Kambalin. Ajita Kesha Kambalin taught. Ajita Kesha Kambalin was a Lokayat or materialist. He said, there is no such thing as this world or next. A human is made up of four elements. When he dies, the earth in him returns to earth, fluid to water, heat to fire, wind to air, senses into space. The talks of gifts is a doctrine of fools, an empty lie. Fools and wise alike are cut off and perish. They do not survive after death. Next point, Makhli Ghosla. Makhli Ghosla belonged to Ajivika sect described as fatalist. Those who believe that everything is predetermined. Then Kesa Kambalin. Ajita Kesa Kambalin belonged to Lokayats, that is materialist. Third point. Beyond worldly pleasures, the message of Mahavira. Vardhaman Mahavira, 6th century BCE. 24th Vardhaman Mahavira in 6th century BCE. He 24th Tirthankara. Vardhaman Mahavira was the 24th Tirthankar. Literally, literally means those who guide men and women across the river of existence. Most important idea of Jainism is that the entire world is animated. Even stones, rocks, and water have life. Principle of ahimsa is emphasized. Principle of ahimsa is emphasized in Jaina in Mahavira teachings. Ahimsa. The next point. According to Jain teachings, the cycle of birth and rebirth is shaped through karma. Asceticism and penance are required to free oneself from the cycle of karma. This was achieved only by renouncing the world, and therefore monastic existence is a necessary. Monastic existence is a necessary condition for salvation. It's a necessary condition of salvation. Jaina nuns and monks took 5 vows: to abstain from killing, to abstain from lying, to abstain from stealing, to observe celibacy, to abstain from possessing property. So killing, lying, stealing, celibacy, and property. Double arrow. Uttar Dhyana Sutta. Uttara Uttara Dhyana. Uttara Dhyana Sutta. Uttar Dhyana Sutta. Uttar Dhyana Sutta. In Prakrit text, describing how the queen named Kamlavati tried to persuade her husband to renounce the world. Quoted, Dhamma alone and nothing else will save you. Quote closed. Now comes the spread of Jainism. The literature in Jainism literature is in Prakrit, Sanskrit, and Tamil. Stone sculptures. Image. A page from 4th AD Jaina manuscript. Image also shows Tirthankara from Mathura, 3rd century CE. 4th, the Buddha and the quest for enlightenment. Hagiography is a biography of a saint or religious leader. Hagiography is a biography of a saint or a religious leader. Siddhartha was from the Sakya clan. He was anguished when he saw an old man, a sick man, and a corpse. An old man, a sick man, and a corpse. बूढ़ा आदमी, एक बीमार आदमी और एक मरा हुआ. Also saw a homeless mendicant who, it seemed to him, had come to terms with old age, disease, and death and found peace. Siddhartha decided that he too would adopt the same path. In the image, a sculpture in 200 CE from Amravati, Andhra Pradesh, depicting the departure of the Buddha from his palace. A sculpture from Amravati in 200 CE depicting the departure of the Buddha from his palace. Next point, Buddha or the enlightened one, taught Dhamma or the path of the righteous living. Fifth point, the teachings of the Buddha. Found mainly in the Sutta Pitaka, Buddha tried to convince people through reason and persuasion rather than through the displays of supernatural power. The world is transient, that is anika. Anika means kshanik. The world is transient, anika. Transient means kshanik or anika. The world is transient and constantly changing. It is also soulless, anatta. Anatta means soulless. A-N-A-T-T-A means soulless. Anatta means soulless. So the world is transient and anatta, and is also anatta, soulless, and there is nothing permanent or eternal in it. Within the transient world, sorrow, that is dukkha, is intrinsic to human existence. It is by following the path of moderation between the severe penance and self-indulgence that humans can arise above those worldly troubles. In the earliest forms of Buddhism, whether or not God existed was irrelevant. So, in the earlier forms of Buddhism, whether or not God existed was irrelevant. So, he neither accepted nor rejected the presence of the God. So, the next arrow, Sutta Pitaka. Buddha gave advice to Sigala, a wealthy householder. Sigala was a wealthy householder. So, Buddha advised 5 ways should a master look after his servants and employees: assigning work according to their strength, supplying them with food and wages, by tending them in sickness, by sharing delicacies with them, and by granting leave at times. Five ways should the clansman 5 ways should the clansmen look after the needs of the samanas. Samanas were those who have renounced the world. So the 5 ways should the clansmen look after the needs of samanas and brahmanas: by affection in act and speech and mind, by keeping open house to them and supplying their worldly needs. Next point. Buddha regarded the social world as a creation of humans rather than of divine origin. Therefore, he advised kings and Gahapatis to be humane and ethical. Individual effort was expected to transform social relations. So, individual effort was expected to transform social relations. Individual effort was expected to transform social relations. Next point. Buddha emphasized individual agency and righteous action as the means to escape from the cycle of rebirth and attain self-realization and nibbana, literally the extinguishing of the ego and desire, and thus end the cycle of suffering for those who renounce the world. His last words were, "Be lamps unto yourself, be lamps unto yourselves, as all of you must work out your own liberation. Be lamps unto your Be lamps unto yourselves, as all of you must work out your own liberation." Sixth point. Followers of the Buddha. Initially, only men were allowed in the Sangha, but later women also came to be admitted. This was possible due to the mediation of Ananda, Buddha's Buddha's foster mother. Mahapajapati Gautami was the first woman to be ordained as a bhikkhuni. Women become theris, or respected women who had attained liberation. Once within the Sangha, all were regarded as equal, having shed their earlier social identities on becoming bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. The internal functioning of the Sangha was based on the tradition of Ganas and Sanghas, where consensus was arrived at through discussions. If, if that failed, decisions were taken by a vote on the subject. Next arrow, the theory Gatha. This unique Buddhist text, part of the Sutta Pitaka, is a collection of the verses composed by bhikkhunis. It provides an insight into women's social and spiritual experiences. Example, Punna Adasi or slave woman. Example, Punna Adasi or slave woman. Next arrow, next image. A woman water carrier in Mathura, 3rd century CE. A woman water carrier, Mathura, 3rd century CE. Next point, next arrow. The importance attached to the conduct and values rather than the claims of superiority based on the birth. The emphasis placed on the metta, that is fellow feeling. Metta means fellow feeling. METTA. Metta means fellow feeling. And karuna, that is compassion, especially for those who were younger and weaker than oneself, were ideas that drew men and women to the Buddhist teachings. Seventh point, stupas. So Chaitya. Chaitya may also have been derived from the word chita, meaning a funeral pyre, and by extension a funerary mound, funeral pyre. Chaityas, these sites with small shrines attached to them, were sometimes described as chaityas. Buddhist ideas and practices emerged out of a process of dialogue with other traditions, including those of the Brahmins, Jains, and several others. Not of all those ideas and practices were preserved in texts. Buddhist, Buddhist literature mentions several chaityas and also places associated with Buddha's life. So Buddha was born in Lumbini, got enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, first sermon in Sarnath, attained Nibbana in Kushinagara. After 200 years of Buddha, Ashoka erected a pillar at the Lumbini to mark the fact that he had visited the place. Next arrow. Why were stupas built? So next point, Mahaparinibhan Bhuta, part of the Sutta Pitaka. Mahaparinibhan Sutta is a part of the Sutta Pitaka. In Mahaparinibhan Sutta, Nanda asked Buddha, in quote, "What are we to do, Lord, with the remains of the Tathagata?" That is Buddha. Buddha replied, "Hinder not yourself, Ananda, by honoring the remains of Tathagata. Gatha. Be zealous, be intent on your own good." On pressing further, he said, At, at the four crossroads, they should erect the thupa, a Pali term for stupa, to the Tathagata, and whosoever shall there place garland or perfume, or make a salutation there, or become in its presence calm of heart, that shall long be to them for a profit and joy. 7a. The tradition of erecting stupa may have been pre-Buddhist, but they come to be associated with Buddha. May have been pre-Buddhist, but they come to have been associated with the Buddha. So the next point, according to the Ashok Vandana text, Ashoka distributed portions of the Buddha's relics to every important town and ordered the construction of stupas over them. By the 2nd century BCE, a number of stupas, including those at the Bharat, Sanchi, and Sarnath, had been built. 7 built. 7b. How were stupas built? Some donations by the kings like the Satavahanas, some by some by the guilds like the ivory workers. Bhikkhus and bhikkhunis also contributed towards building these monuments. 7c. The structure of stupa. Stupa is a Sanskrit word meaning a heap, which originated as a stupa originated as a simple semicircular mound on the earth, later called anda. Gradually, it evolved into a more complex structure, balancing round and square shapes. Above the anda was the hermika, a balcony-like structure that represented the abode of gods. Arising from the hermika was a mast. Mast means a tall uprising post. So arising from the hermika was a mast called the yasti. Yashti, often surmounted by the chhatri or umbrella. Next point. Around the mound was a railing separating the sacred place from the secular world. The early stupas at Sanchi and Bharat were plain except for the stone railings, which resembled a bamboo or wooden fence, and the gateways, which were richly carved and installed at four cardinal points. Worshippers entered through the eastern gateway and walked around the mound in a clockwise direction, keeping the mound on the right side, imitating the sun's course through the sky. Later, the mound of the stupas came to be elaborately carved with the uh, niches and sculptures as at Amaravati and Shahji Ki Dheri in Peshawar, Pakistan. Shahji Ki Dheri in Peshawar, Pakistan. 8. Discovering stupas. The fate of the Amaravati and Sanchi. Colin Mackenzie visited the Amaravati stupa. In 1854, Walter Elliot, the commissioner of Guntur in Andhra Pradesh, visited Amaravati and collected several sculpture panels and took them away to Madras. Discovered remains of Western Gateway. By 1850s, some of the slabs of the Amaravati taken to different places, to the Asiatic Society of Bengal and Calcutta, to the Indian office in Madras, and some even to London. Archaeologist H. Cole. It seems to me, archaeologist H. Cole quoted, "It seems to me a suicidal and indefensible policy to allow the country to be looted of original works of ancient art. Ninth point, sculpture. 9a, stories in stone. Scrolls. Charan Chitras. Scrolls were also called as Charan Chitras. Scrolls were also called as Charan Chitras. So, the scrolls of cloth or paper with pictures on them and pointing to the pictures as they tell the story. A scene from the Vesantara Jataka on Northern Gateway in Sanchi. A, a scene from the Vesantara Jataka on Northern Gateway in Sanchi. Vesantara Jataka on Northern Gateway in Sanchi. B. Symbols of worship. According to hagiographies. 9b. Symbols of worship. According to hagiographies, Buddha attained enlightenment while meditating under a tree. Many early sculptures did not show the Buddha in human form. Instead, they showed his presence through symbols. The empty seat was meant to indicate the meditation of the Buddha, and the stupa was to represent the Mahaparinibbana. Wheel stood for the first sermon of the Buddha, that is Dharmachakra Pravartana, delivered at the Sarnath. Wheel stood for the first sermon of the Buddha. Wheel stood for the first sermon of the Buddha. So next point 9c, popular traditions. Other sculptures at Sanchi were perhaps not directly inspired by Buddhist ideas. These include beautiful women swinging from the edge of a gateway, holding on to a tree, described in Sanskrit as a Shalbhanjika. According to popular beliefs, this was a woman whose touch caused trees to flower and bear fruit. The Shalbhanjika motif suggests that many people who turned to Buddhism enriched it with their own pre-Buddhist and even non-Buddhist belief, practices, and ideas. Animal depictions like elephants, horses, monkeys, cattle were there. While the Jatakas contain several animal stories that are depicted at Sanchi, it is likely that many of these animals were carved to create lively scenes to draw viewers. Also, animals were often used as symbols of human attributes. Elephants were depicted to signify strength and wisdom. Another motif of a woman surrounded by lotuses and elephants, we seem to be sprinkling water on her as if performing an abhishek or consecration. Some historians identify it as a Maya, that is mother of Buddha. Others identify it with the popular goddess Gajalakshmi, literally, literally the goddess of good fortune, who is associated with elephants. Gajalakshmi is also we also found Gajalakshmi at Ajanta caves. So next in the image, a serpent at Sanchi. A serpent at Sanchi in image. Next arrow. Paintings at Ajanta depict stories from the Jatakas. These include depictions of the country's life, processions, men and women at work, and festivals. Artists used the technique of shading to give a 3D quality. Some paintings are extremely naturalistic. The serpent motif seems to be derived from popular traditions, which were not always recorded in texts. Historian James Ferguson considered Sanchi to be a center of tree and serpent worship. At that time, he was not familiar with Buddhist literature. James Ferguson was not familiar with Buddhist literature at that time. 10th point, new religious traditions. 10a, the development of Mahayana Buddhism. In image, the image of Buddha from Mathura. First century CE, the image of Buddha from Mathura. So the next point, the development of Mahayana Buddhism. 10a. So the first point in it, by first century CE, there is evidence of changes in Buddhist ideas and practices. Early Buddhist teachings had given great importance to self-effort in achieving Nibbana. Besides, Buddha was regarded as a human who attained enlightenment and Nirvana through his own efforts. However, gradually the idea of Savior emerged. It was believed that he was the one who could ensure salvation. Simultaneously, the concept of Bodhisattva also developed. Bodhisattvas were perceived as a deeply compassionate beings who accumulated merit through their efforts, but used this not to attain Nibbana and thereby abandon the world, but to help others. Associated with image worship of Buddha and Bodhisattvas. This is associated with the image worship of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This new way of thinking was called Mahayana, literally the great vehicle. Older tradition as Hinayana or lesser vehicle. Mahayana supporters regarded other Buddhists as followers of Hinayana. However, followers of the older tradition described themselves as Theravadins, that is, those who followed the path of the old, respected teachers, that is, the Theras. So 9, so 10b, growth of Puranic Hinduism. It is likely that different avatars were popular in different parts of the country. Recognizing each of these local deities as a form of Vishnu was one of the creating of a was one of the was one way of creating a more unified religious tradition. Ayudhas, that is weapons. Ayudhas means weapons. Arrow image, the Varaha or boar avatar of Vishnu rescuing the earth goddess in Aihole, Karnataka in 6th century CE. Varaha also in Udayagiri caves in Madhya Pradesh. Varaha also in Udayagiri caves in Madhya Pradesh. So, to understand the story of sculptures, one has to be familiar with the stories behind them, many of which are contained in the Puranas compiled by the Brahmanas by about the middle of the 1st century CE. Generally, the Puranas were written in simple Sanskrit words and were meant to be read aloud to everybody, including women and Shudras who did not have access to Vedic learning. Much of what is contained in the Puranas evolved through the interaction among us the people, priests, merchants, and ordinary men and women who traveled from place to place sharing ideas and beliefs. So the next arrow image of Durga in Mahabalipuram, 6th century CE. 10c, building temples. The early temple was a small square room called the Garbhagriha with a single doorway for the worshipper to enter and offer worship to the image. Gradually, a tall structure known as the Shikara was built over the central shrine. Temple walls were often decorated with sculpture. Later temples became far more elaborate with assembly halls, huge walls and gateways, and arrangements for supplying water. Image worship. Next image. Vishnu reclining on a serpent, Sheshnag. Sculpture from Deogarh, Uttar Pradesh, 5th century CE. Vishnu reclining on Vishnu reclining on the serpent Sheshnag. Sculpture from Deogarh, UP, 5th century CE. Next point. One of the unique features of the early temples was that some of these were hollowed out of huge rocks as artificial caves. Some of these were constructed in the 3rd BCE on the orders of the Ashoka for announcers who belonged to the Ajivika sect. Ajivika sects were fatalists who believed that everything is predetermined. Next point. The tradition evolved through various stages and culminated much later in 8th CE in the carving out of entire temple, that of the Kailashnath, a name of Shiva. Kailashnath temple. So the image of Kailashnath temple at Ellora in Maharashtra, carved out of a single piece of rock. Next image of the Barabar cave in Bihar in 3rd century BCE. Barabar cave in Bihar, 3rd century BCE. So 11th point. Can we see everything? 9a. Grappling with unfamiliar. While scholars often found early Indian sculpture inferior to the works of the Greek artists, they were very excited when they discovered images of the Buddha and Bodhisattvas that were evidently based on the Greek models, mostly found in northwestern Taxila, Peshawar, and where Indo-Greek rulers had established kingdoms in the 2nd century BCE. 11b. If text and image do not match. So the image of Bodhisattva from Gandhara, images of Bodhisattva from Gandhara can also be found. So 11b. If text and image do not match. A famous sculpture along a huge rock surface in Mahabalipuram, Tamil Nadu. Some art historians feel that it depicts the descent of the river Ganga from heaven. The natural cleft through the center of a rock surface might represent the river. The story itself is narrated in the Puranas and the epics. Others feel that it represents the story from the Mahabharata, Arjuna doing penance on the river bank in order to acquire arms, pointing uh, pointing to the central figure as an ascetic. So the timeline. Timeline 1, major religious developments. 1500 to 1000 BCE, early Vedic traditions. 1000 to 500 BC, later Vedic traditions. 6th BCE, early Upanishads, Jainism and Buddhism. 3rd BCE, first Stupas. 2nd BCE onward, development of Mahayana, Vaishnavism, Shaivism and goddess cults. 3rd CE, earliest temples. Timeline 2, landmarks in the discovery and preservation of early monuments and sculpture. 19th century, 1814, founding of the Indian Museum, Calcutta. 1834, publication of essay on the architecture of the Hindus by Ram Raja. Cunningham explores the stupa at Sarnath. 1835 to 42, James Ferguson surveys major archaeological sites. 1851, establishment of the Government Museum in Madras. 1854, Alexander Cunningham publishes Bhilsa Tops on Sanchi. 1854. 1878, Rajendra Lal Mitra publishes Buddha Gaya, the heritage of Sakya Muni. 1880, H. Cole appointed curator of ancient monuments. 1888, painting of the Treasure Trove Act. Passing of the Treasure Trove Act. 1888, passing of the Treasure Trove Act, giving the government the right to acquire all objects of archaeological interest. 20th century, 1914, John Marshall and Alfred Faucher published the Monuments of Sanchi. Monuments of Sanchi. 1923, John Marshall publishes the Conservation Manual. 1955, Prime Minister Jawahar J. Nehru lays foundation stone of the National Museum in New Delhi. 1989, Sanchi declared as a World Heritage Site.